live.
Okay.
That's my radio voice. Welcome, guys, to another amazing episode of the Start to Be Great podcast. I am your co-host, Anna.
And I am Kimmy. We want you to be great at whatever it is that you just have the desire to do, but in order to do that, you gotta start. So what are we talking about today?
Ooh, we're talking about a fun one. And by fun, I do mean not fun. I feel like this conversation in itself is going to tickle people in the wrong way because those are the avoiders. We're talking about confrontation. And so this topic came up because both of us have directly and indirectly through like friends we've known had some situations arise in our lives in the last month or so, probably all the time, more frequently than we think about. But and they have been situations where it's like, you don't know what to do. And it's like, you don't know how to handle it. Like, do I confront this or do I just let it go?
Yeah.
And sometimes, like for my situation, it took some reflecting. But I just wanted to share it with you and with everybody listening because I think we all have situations that come up that we're like, it's easy to avoid.
Yeah.
But communication is so important.
Yeah.
And you need to be able to communicate with people, and it's hard sometimes. Like you have to say stuff that's hard.
Why is it so hard? Why is confrontation so hard? Like you have these people that have problems in their life, and I'm like, well, why don't you do something about it? Oh, I'm non-confrontational. Okay, but why?
Yeah.
Are you a jellyfish? Are you spineless? Or do you just not give a fuck about your life? You don't want to take handle on your life? Or is it you're so afraid of disrupting somebody else's plan that you don't want to make it seem like your problems are a priority? But why? Yeah. You know?
I think a lot of it is people are afraid of pushing others away. Like let's say that your family or friends or like a partner, if you say something and being confrontational, let's just start by saying that this does not mean a fight or an argument. This just means standing your ground, having boundaries, communicating your side, and opening a conversation about something that's important to you. That's, in my opinion, what a confrontation is.
Yeah, I think that's a really good definition.
And but if you do that with someone you love and they don't like it, they could push back. They could cut you out completely. They could literally chop you out of their life, and that's scary.
That is very scary.
And some people do that. Like some people avoid confrontation so much that they are just like, nope, next. And that's like a red flag is, oh, this person brought something up, I don't like it. And they get scared also. I mean, especially with us, like with family members, like that might have been your example as a kid. It's watching your parents have arguments or discussions, heated discussions, and then it not ending well,
That's so interesting to me because I've seen it both sides. I've seen it with people that have grown up with family that were just extremely passionate and fought all the time. And I've seen it the other side where your family is so passive, they don't want to hurt anybody's feelings that they'll just remove themselves from the situation and then nothing's ever fixed. Like there's two extremes and both of them are horrible.
Yeah.
And so I think like the goal of this podcast today is just opening the conversation about it because that's what confrontation is. It's opening the conversation about something that needs change or needs addressed. And there's different methods to do it, and there's definitely better ways of delivery. And I think that's like what we should discuss.
100%. Yeah, and we were just doing our weekly planning, and I'm a very it depends on the situation, but I'm not afraid of confrontation. Like I don't seek it out usually. Like I don't want to create drama or stress for others. That's not my intention, but I do have very strong like boundaries. So when someone crosses like an important one, I'm gonna say something. But even me, that's comfortable in that space. I just got a little uncomfortable earlier when we were discussing our planning for the week because I asked you a couple open-ended questions to challenge your thought process to help you better plan your week. And I was like, you like leaned back in your chair and you're like, your face changed.
My body language
And your tone of voice
changed.
changed. So you were we were both calm and pleasant to each other. Like there was no argument. Like we weren't in disagreement. It wasn't, this is how you should do it. Why aren't you doing this way? Or it wasn't like about that at all. It was just like, why are you doing it like this? And because I just put that little in there, that's a confrontation that's so small that a lot of people won't do. I think that's why we get along so well, is because we want to be better. And so we want each other to push each other just a little bit at a time, just to be like, oh shit, why do I want that?
Yeah.
And then it's like you get uncomfortable or I get uncomfortable because I'm like, damn, they're calling me out.
Yeah.
It's like,
no, I'm glad you brought that up, because I didn't even realize that you were uncomfortable with it, because I didn't even know that my body shifted. Like you brought that up and I'm like, oh damn, like I definitely was uncomfortable, you know, because we are so high achievers right now. Like we're really like we're very goal oriented, and so we're starting a new quarter, you know, right now. And so we have a bunch of different goals, we have a bunch of different stuff, you know, in action, and so you're making me dig deeper. and it's frustrating for me, because I'm like, why don't I know this, you know? And so it's like, it's not me, my body language changed because it was a challenge, but it was a good challenge, you know? But like you said, you're so quick to do that. You're so quick to say what needs to be said. That's interesting that you had some effort in it.
Yeah, well, you know, it's, I don't know the percentages, don't quote me, but most of our communication with others is done through body language. They've said it over and over again in multiple studies that it's your tone, it's how you're sitting. That's why it's so important when you're at a job interview or like on a date that you are, you know, squared off to the person, you're making eye contact, you're smiling. Oh my God. Dude, when I used to go to job interviews, my mom would say it like 5 times. She's like, smile. Don't forget to smile. She's like, I don't care what else you say. You could mess everything up, but you smile. And I was like, okay. Yeah.
Well,
it's so true though.
You think about like beauty pageants and stuff. They put and like on stage for bodybuilding, some people use Vaseline on their teeth. They'll put Vaseline on their teeth because it makes it really slick and it makes you natural. It makes you smile. It makes you keep your mouth open without having to think about it. Because if you're super nervous, like say on stage or
you're
whatever,
flexing in like a bodybuilding show, so you're like just tense, but you have to smile.
You have to make it look like it doesn't hurt at all. It's so comfortable, you know. And it's so they do that because it's so important. Like you're supposed to be looking like you're having a good time, right?
Yeah. But you appear via the eye to be a nicer, happier person to be around. People just want to like gravitate towards that, and you're just gonna naturally catch the judge's eye.
Yeah, I don't know if this is true, but they say that the act of smiling actually like engages some receptors in your brain that make you happier. If you're sad and you like force yourself to just smile for an hour or so, I don't know. It's apparently supposed to make you happier.
I believe that. I mean, I believe that forcing yourself, like we all have those moments where you don't want to do something. And like, I'm a really big, you know that like, if you had, how many seconds are in a day? Like 86,000 something. You know that like saying about like, if someone stole $10 from your $86,000 account, would you just give away the rest of the $86,000? Like, no, I would spend it. Well, that's how many seconds you have in a day. So don't let one bad moment impact your day. Well, like I'm a big believer in like making yourself do something, and then once you're in it, you automatically feel better. It just happened to me last week. Like I had a meeting that I was supposed to go to, and I was like, I almost just sat in my car and was like, fuck it. I'm not in a mindset for this. Like I don't want to go. And it was such a good, like I was like, once I was in it, it was so much easier. But before, oh man, no. I just didn't want to be in there. Forcing myself to show up and to start and to smile. I totally believe that. Yeah. So do that if you need to do that this week. That's like a daily occurrence for me lately. Yeah. Not wanting to do something and just making yourself do it. You always feel better.
But like you said, when you were asking me to dig a little deeper, and like
Yeah.
the way you're like your delivery and talking to it, like I could tell you weren't hostile. I could tell that you were like, but why, dude? Like, because I had asked you to help me. I was like, like I'm trying to set these plans, but I'm not quite sure like how to go about it. So like I knew you were coming from a good place. I didn't think you were being like, well, why don't you know this? Like,
Yeah, no, and I don't think that you need to have the answer.
No.
But it's like,
But I think the
Transitioning to the-
delivery is also very important.
oh yeah.
Like whenever we were talking about this beforehand, and I was thinking like, oh, when you think confrontation, you think like intervention, right? You think about the banner and like everybody sitting in a room solemn, waiting for you to walk in and tell you exactly how you're fucking up. Like that's like what I think of when
It's
I
like
think
an
confrontation.
attack. It's aggressive. People
Yeah.
don't. It's got a bad rap. Confrontation.
And it's not like I don't. Well, it doesn't have to be. It can be, but it doesn't have to be.
Yeah, I for a long time had terrible delivery, and I still think that I could be better.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I'm very direct, and I don't know if you noticed this or not, but I don't think that my tone softens much. I think that even when I'm like trying to be nice and kind and gentle, I'm still pretty like rough sounding, and I only say that because of feedback from mostly a 17-year-old, but but others, like I've had like some friends that are pretty like sensitive to that tone, and they're like, dude, why are you so rough? I'm like, this is just my voice. Like I don't go down like, like I'm gentle with horses, but with people I'm just like, no, you get the same fucking tone all the time.
So I don't notice it very much, except you brought that up, and I'm like, there is a huge difference in how you talk to people versus how you talk to your dog America. Like that's when you're soft. It's like, honey, how are you today? You know, and it's like, but I don't notice the inflection and the difference whenever you're talking to me.
I don't
like,
have one really.
Yeah.
And I think that is something that I can work on.
But I just see,
Yeah.
I like it because it's like, I can tell you're not fucking berating me because you're
Right.
talking to me how you normally talk to me. You're like, hey, like, I'm not being aggressive with you, you're just fucking up, you know? But you know, like,
Yeah.
not like that, but
Yeah.
it's like, hey, like, it's more matter of fact, but I think I'm fine with that. And
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, it helps me to be in the reverse role, which I'm not in often. People don't tend to call me out, but when it's like, that, like, oh, you can take it, but you can't, or you can dish it out, but you can't take it, and it's like, I can, I just don't have a lot of practice because people don't typically do it to me.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's because they're scared to do it, or if it's because I do a pretty good job of doing it to myself already. I'm not sure what it is. Typically, like, people who are 10 years ahead of me are the ones that are the ones hit me hard with the shit, and I'm like, oh god, okay, because like they hit me hard. Like I have a really good friend that every time we talk, like she does the same. That's where I learned it from, honestly. Like the asking questions out of curiosity is a good way to create confrontation.
Because it opens up the dialogue.
Asking out of general wanting to know what they're thinking about this situation, and if you come at it like that, it's not aggressive, it's not an attack, it's you're curious, like why do you want that, what is your goal, where are you going afterwards, like what is your plan, like those are questions. Like it's not like you need to know this, but it's like, do you know it, and why, and like just to better know that person, and if it's someone in your life, I think that's something you should want to know them better, right? I would want.
Yeah. How do you feel about like treading very lightly? How do you feel about like not sugarcoating it, but like being like overly nice about it as to try to not hurt your feelings?
No, that makes me more uncomfortable. I hate more than anything feeling like I have to walk on eggshells and like I can't say the truth and say what I really need to say, and like avoiding conversations, and I can't look you in the eye without, it's like an elephant in the room. It kills me.
See, I feel more manipulated when it's over nice. Like just I would rather you just tell me how it is, and if I get hurt at the beginning, I could respect it more than if I felt like you were trying to make me think something for a reason, other than just, this is why I want to do it. Like straight up feels better. But I think, so when you said avoiding, it's like either avoiding confrontation or passive aggression. That's where I'm like, no, like if it needs to be talked about, talk about it.
Yeah.
But to hold on to this anger and hold on to like animosity about something and not bring it up, but like not also act normal. Like either you have a problem or you don't.
Yeah.
And that the passivity, that's where I have like major issues.
It's hard because I think a lot of families operate like that.
Oh,
because
yeah.
you're like guilty. Because it's like, I mean, I'm that way with my sister. We have a white elephant that's been living in our room for years, and I don't know if it'll ever go away. And I want to talk about it, she doesn't want to talk about it. And so like, how do you can't make someone else participate in that conversation. And so you either choose to like have them stay and like be in that weird passive kind of like whatever place, or you cut them out. And like, well,
some people aren't ready for the conversation. Like, you know, it's like something that needs to happen, but they're not ready. And like you said, you can't make somebody have it, or you can make them have it and then it's going to blow up. It's going to be like wrong time, you know, type thing. And then it's like, okay, well, you have to decide whether or not that conflict or whatever the problem is that you're having is big enough. Like, do you want this person in your life enough that you're willing to be in the passive state of uncomfortableness? Or are you like, nope, we didn't resolve this and I need it resolved, so moving on? Yeah.
I think it's, I think we need to have more empathy for others.
What do you mean by that?
You know, if y'all don't know, I've been riding horses and learning a lot about horsemanship. And one of the things I've learned recently is you might want your horse to perform this task right now, today, but they might not be ready. So you ask them to, and you can teach them to. It's like you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. If they're not ready, they're not going to do it. And it's the same with people. And I have so much empathy for a horse because they're just like these beautiful creatures, and it's like we cannot communicate in the same way because we don't speak the same language, really. And but I'm like, I never get mad at the horse for not being ready. I'm just like, man, I wish you would have, but like, I get it. We don't feel that way to people. We just want them to be like, just because I want to have this conversation doesn't mean that you want to, but I can ask you. I can help teach you how to have it maybe, and like help you, but like I can't do anything more than that, you know? And so it's like, I think empathy for others, like some things take longer to be able to be discussed.
Why is it that we're so much harder on people that are closer to us? Dude. Like we were talking about this, last week? We were saying why so there's some things that you'll do that I would be like, oh, that's fine, completely fine. But like if like say like a romantic partner were to do it, it's like, oh fuck that. We would like why?
I don't know.
I think there's just different levels of intimacy
and then it's also like with like a friend versus a stranger.
Yeah.
Like it's like, okay, let's say you've been friends with someone for like a decade. And they do one little thing and they show up late to lunch and you're pissed. And then, you know, but like some stranger does something to you and you're like, you know, it's like, what? Like,
or even it's the opposite. Like I will like hardcore like judge somebody for doing something, you know, like, but if my friend does it, I'm like, I mean, we all have bad days, you know, like it's
that's
like
probably
so like
one. I don't know, dude. Get you back in there.
Oh yeah, in the frame.
Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know why. I wish there was an easy answer for that. Like, it's definitely something I've been thinking about, but that goes along with empathy. Like, I think we want people to be who we think they are. And like, dude, I'm about to get real trippy on you. People are one thing, and then what we perceive of them is something totally different. And that's the same with ourselves. Like who we are is completely different than how people perceive us. And each person perceives us differently. And we have no control over that. Because it's all based on their own reality.
Yeah, no,
do you know what I mean?
I'm getting trippy because
We are
Like-
sober, by the way.
Oh, yes. I was thinking about this the other day. Every single person is living in their own consciousness, right?
Yeah.
Every single person has their own, like, they are the center of their world, and
Yeah.
they're living this own world. And we're just living side by side
Yeah.
of, like, I'm not saying this well, but, like, I literally was in, like, a moment where I was just like, everybody is living their own life, and you're not going to ever be able to live the way somebody else is. Like, I'm never going to perceive the world the same way you are, because I'm living in my own state of consciousness, and that's so trippy to me.
Yeah. And it's crazy because even though there's people that have had like such similar backgrounds and upbringings and experiences, there's not one person or two people that have the exact same view. You might get damn close, but they're still gonna be different. Like, we're all so unique in that way. That's what makes it beautiful, but it's also like chaotic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's why communication is so important. That's like
Right.
me when I get into a relationship, or I have a relationship with anybody, whether that be romantic or friends or business. Like, communication to me is absolutely everything.
Yeah. I think a lot of that is people are not emotionally intelligent. And by people, I do mean me. I'm calling myself out. I have a long way to go on that spectrum. A lot of people don't even know what the term emotional intelligence means. You know, they're just not looking into that type of education and growth in themselves. But like, understanding that there's a difference between what you think and what you feel, and that normally you spew out what you're feeling versus what you're thinking.
And it's also recognizing the layers of trauma and the layers of your own defenses that you've put up. Like, you're seeing and responding in a way that's okay for you and that you understand.
Yeah.
But it may not be the right way, or it may not be a way that the other person can actually comprehend.
Yeah.
Why do you think, not why, at what times do you think confrontation is important? Like, at what point do you have to realize, like, I want to communicate this because it's bothering me, but is bringing this up gonna be productive? Because I feel like there's a time, like, I'm a over communicator, I think. Like, sometimes I'll bring things up because it's bothering me and I want to communicate to you that it's bothering me. But if I would have just not brought it up, and then I processed it later and been like, that didn't really bother me, like, it's actually not a big deal, but I brought it up for no reason. And then it's like, okay, you're bringing up, like, things all the time. Can I do nothing right? You know, like, I feel like I've had people in the past tell me that. It's like, well, like,
I think that's a women
I think so too.
thing, typically.
And it's like, I don't know when. It's like, I brought this up because it was bothering me and I wanted you to know why it was bothering me so that it didn't happen again. But when do you just put it away until you recognize if it's actually worth bringing up?
That's a great question for somebody else. I do not have an answer. I mean, I feel like my last relationship was a lot of that. And I think the thing is recognizing that the small things that get brought up are not about the small things. And trying to, I think that women are emotional creatures, and obviously the roles can be reversed. I just think, generally speaking, I hear this from women. We want to express our emotions all the time, how we feel. We want you to know. We're going to just share it with you. You don't have to hear it. But the reality is, I think we need to learn how to self-soothe and have some like quiet time where we just process, like you said, because we can figure it out. And although we want our partner to help, I don't think we intentionally mean for it to add stress to them, but I think it does.
Puts a lot of pressure.
And it makes it seem negative when it's really a sharing place. But it doesn't come off that way. It comes off as like, I have a problem, it needs to be fixed. And you need to fix it because you're the one fucking it up. When that's not really what we're saying. We're saying is, I just feel this way. Can we talk about it? and then can you like give me some understanding and make me feel heard and seen? But that's not. Why can't we make ourselves feel heard and seen? You know, like I feel like I want to give more power. And that's just me.
No.
I want to give more power to myself to soothe myself when I'm in those emotional states.
Well, why would you give that power away? Why would you put like your happiness in the hands of another person? You know, like that's a lot of responsibility, and honestly, it's not fair. I do too. I mean, I'm not, you know, I don't do a great job of it sometimes, but like, they always say, what is it? If it's not gonna matter in 5 years, don't get upset about it. And I don't think that's true at all.
No.
Like, I think there's definitely like communication that can occur way more than 5 years. But I also think there's a line where it's like, am I actually mad right now?
I mean, yeah. I think a second question, ask yourself, if you're thinking about bringing something up, ask yourself maybe like, why is it that this bothers me? You know, and so let's dive into my issue that came up last month, and we can kind of like chat about that and how I worked through it.
I love it.
Because that would maybe give some like frame of reference, because it's not even about a relationship. It's like I don't want to say work, but
a working relationship. For sure.
It's a working relationship. So I volunteer at a horse arena, and there was a horse there that I had an opportunity to literally adopt and take, because she was going to no longer be used at the horse center. And I was trying to be in communication. Like, most people knew I wanted Dot. And apparently the one person that I should have told didn't know. And so she had, on the other end, started making arrangements for Dot to go somewhere else. And in my mind, because what I would have done is I would have asked my team, being the people underneath me, I would have been like, hey, one, like this horse, I would have made an announcement. I would have been like, she's going. Does anyone have anyone that wants her? Or otherwise, you know, we're going to contact the previous, you know, we'll see what they want to do. I would have at least like just communicated that better. Not everyone is me. So she didn't do that. And the horse, the previous owner found some random woman at his church. I mean, not random, but like she had never met the horse. She had never met Dot. And so they're all, you know, here I am thinking, oh my God, if Dot leaves, I already have land for her to be on. I bought a halter and a lead rope for her. I'm like building my horse bucket. Like I'm mentally like, this might be I might have a horse. Like I remember the day that I thought I was gonna get her.
At what point was it offered to you? Like how did the wires get crossed there?
So one of the instructors there, he used to live with the previous owner. Like it was like his neighbor, and like he was like renting his house like next door or something. So he knew him personally, and he's like, I'll reach out to him, and he's like, he was the one that called me. He's like, I'm gonna go talk to him, because he said that he would probably rather her go to a veteran, and that since he knew me and blah blah blah, it would probably work out. And like he was convinced that it was like a done deal.
Yeah.
Because
was it his authority to offer it to you?
No, but he knew the guy, whereas the woman that was talking to him didn't even know him. She just is in charge of the horses, you know. So
it was her job to find the horse a new home. Okay.
Yes, it was her job, but she didn't have like pull, I would say, whereas this other guy did. And so that's where I was like, oh shit, like, and I was gonna get his phone number. I had a conversation with him on the phone. And so there's like two different things happening simultaneously. Long story short, I got like blown off, in my opinion, how I felt about it, by everybody except for the one guy helping me. The horse went to the woman at the church, and I didn't even get like any kind of connection, like, because the previous owner, he's like, oh yeah, well you can at least have the woman's phone number, and you can like maybe go out to her property and see her, you know, and like visit with her. And I was like, okay, like I'm like, I don't need to ride her, I just want to like love on her and like see her.
Because you had developed a relationship with the horse. Yeah.
And this woman didn't know her yet. So I was like, ugh. And so it was really like, I was just, and this happened in like 48 hours. It was like, I was like losing my shit. I was like, oh my God, like, oh, I gotta make sure I can have a horse, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I had sent an email to the woman afterwards. And
the woman that found the horse at home.
Yes.
Okay.
And I had sent an email to her because I volunteer. I'm like in the top, there's like 350 volunteers at the place I volunteer. And I'm in the top 2%, meaning I volunteer a lot of hours there. And I've only been there for not that long, like a year or less. But I volunteer a lot. I spend a lot of my time there, and I help out as much as I can. And I sent her an email, and I basically wanted to just have a conversation with her about the situation, and she straight up never responded to my email. And so I was already upset because of the situation, and then she didn't respond. And for about 2 weeks, I noticed that I was getting really pissed off just being there. Which, like, I used to get excited. And then I was, like, just mad. Because any little communication thing because the communication there is not great.
Yeah.
And everyone that works there knows her communication skills are subpar. They all say it. And if she's listening, good. This is your notice that, and I'm not gonna call her name out, but like, the communication is not good. Everyone has an issue with it. So every little thing that was happening, and I'm volunteering. So it's like, I'm not getting paid. I'm just here, and I'm getting mad. And I'm like, I'm just gonna stop volunteering. That was my decision. And I thought about it for a couple days, and I was like, you know what? Fuck that. And I was like, I don't want to allow her the power to, not even knowingly, she has zero concept that I'm going through like this emotional fucking crisis right now. She has no idea literally, because she's living in her own reality. She's got her own life outside of her job. You know what I mean? And this is like above and beyond the minimum expectations of her job duties, right? Like dealing with something like this. She's got zero concept. And I'm like, just gonna have like this pissy party and just not do it anymore. Something that I was enjoying. And so I was just like, I don't even know how long it took me, but I was like thinking about it for probably like a week or two. And I was like, you know what? I don't want to give her the power to make me leave something that I enjoy. So I'm just switching the gears in my mind to try and remember why I started going there in the first place, which was the horses. And there's also some good people there too, yes. But I'm going to attempt to talk to her again in person this time.
Nice.
The funny thing is because it was confrontational, that's why I sent her the email.
Yeah.
Was because I was trying to be kind and like not make it a big thing. But then I get emotionally triggered, like pissed when I feel disrespected, which is the lack of response to my email made me feel that way.
Yeah.
So my wanting to quit and throwing a temper tantrum was emotion. It's not logic at all. So I think in a sense, I did the self-soothing that we were just talking about, and I've come to the realization that like, no, I don't want this to not be a part of my life. I just need to find another way around it. Like, here's an obstacle. This way didn't work. I've tried to hit it direct. I mean, as direct as I could be without being too much, you know? So I just need to find another way around it.
Yeah.
So anyway, that is kind of, I think to answer your question of when something should be brought up and when it shouldn't be, it's like,
in this instance, it has to be brought up. Like, you can't continue to work there without it being addressed.
Yeah, because I will slide back into that anger space, and that like lack of appreciation kind of mindset, and like the lack of respect. I'll just feel it when I'm there, even though it's literally in my own freaking reality. I'm the only one I'm doing it to myself. You know, like to her, she's probably like, oh, I forgot about it. I meant to email you. You know, like it could be something stupid, and I'm just making it this big thing. I think we do that with a lot, but I think the problem is this is important to me, and I think that you need to decide what things are important. You know, like you'll know, like if something isn't, like you said, I know that you think it doesn't necessarily apply here. If it's going to matter in 5 years, but I think that learning this lesson and like learning this skill. And adapting to what's happening, it will matter in 5 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So stay tuned for the update on that. my horse trauma. No, it's
I think we talk a lot about delivery, but it's also I think important to, if you are confronted, like how do you perceive it? Like how do you accept confrontation?
Yeah.
Because if you take your ego out of it, right? It's hard. It's it's literally like whatever. But like if you take your ego out of it and you realize what is the person's intentions on bringing this up,
Right.
you know, I think it's easier to accept it better. But we're so quick to feel, boom, challenged.
Yeah.
You're challenging me. You're attacking me. I'm going on the defense. I
Yeah.
am now defending my honor. You know, like it's quick to be like, this is a fight.
Yeah.
And I don't know why that is. Like I don't know why.
Well, our egos run our lives.
Yes.
For one.
But like even like what we just said, like you asked me a question, an open-ended, out of curiosity and to help me.
Mm-hmm.
And without even thinking about it, I said that. I am challenged. You
I am challenged.
you are fighting me. We are no longer friends, you know? And I didn't mean for it to be like that, but
Just for your reference.
I didn't know it, even though I
know.
put that out there, because I was like, what is my intent behind this? And I was like, figure it out, you know? Like I'm more frustrated at myself than anything. But if you think about a confrontation and like a different, like a more physical thing, like if like a confrontation, like a physical altercation, you know, like what caused that to be so dramatic? What caused that to escalate? And how was the perception? Could it have been de-escalated? We talk about that a lot with like the current state of everything, you know,
Yeah.
like everything can be de-escalated, right? I don't know.
I mean, I don't know. Ego's tricky. I think honestly, I think a lot of it goes back to empathy. We think people think so much more about us than they do.
Yeah.
And if you could for a second realize that whatever that person is doing that you feel is to you or at you, it's not even about you.
Mm-mm.
It's about them. Their lack of feeling loved, their lack of feeling appreciated, their lack of feeling respected. That's not a you thing, but it's coming at you because why would we attack ourselves? Like, why would we want to do that? That's difficult. That's challenging to say, why don't I love myself enough to feel loved? That way I don't have to attack others when they don't love me. You know, like, those are hard questions.
Yeah.
And those are hard things to address. And like you were talking about, like the levels of trauma. That's challenging. It's easier to confront others in a not nice way.
So taking your situation, and I'm going to challenge you for a second.
Yeah.
So you sent her an email because you were upset. And what if she read it and she was like, well, it wasn't his business to offer the horse anyway. I did my job by getting the horse a new home.
Yeah.
And you were upset, but you should, in her eyes, could be like, you have no right to be upset because it wasn't his horse to give.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like,
no, I'm very aware. The guy that was helping me, he got yelled at on my behalf. He was told that it was not his place to intervene with what they already had going on. I told her that in the email. I said, I was like, I know that you already had your thing going, and I wasn't coming from a place of she should have been mine. It was just like, I wish I would have known to talk to you because like I did want her.
Yeah.
And just having a conversation, and I said in the email, I said, I don't want there to be bad blood because I like coming here, you know? And so it was less of like I was not telling, I admitted fault in the email, and I told her that I understood that she was doing what she was supposed to do, and that it wasn't even up to her, it was up to the previous owner.
Yeah.
He was the one that made the call. And so like, but yeah, I mean, there might be I'm sure there's a reason, honestly, knowing her and how like communication is, it's probably forgetfulness.
Yeah.
Or it could be avoiding confrontation. A simple, like, I would have accepted any kind of email response.
Yeah. So just
Like,
the communication in
thanks
general.
for the email. Like, no, we're good here. Like, no bad blood. Like, I want to know that you aren't pissed at me because I was going ham trying to get this sorted. And like, for her, I feel like I probably went behind her back calling the guy when she's already working this thing out, you know? And I wanted to make sure that she knew what I felt. You know, it's like, it's more so just like tying the bow on the present that's already been done.
Yeah.
You know? I would have accepted anything. And so...
And why is that so important to you? Genuine question.
Because I spend so much time there, and I already don't feel like, obviously the place runs off volunteers.
Mm-hmm.
The horses need people to volunteer.
Mm-hmm.
The horses appreciate what I do.
Mm-hmm.
They don't do a good job of making their volunteers feel appreciated. So
Yeah.
I already feel that level.
Yeah.
And then I don't, like, I don't feel right. Like, it's in my, like, spine, in my gut.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like if it, and I mean, again, kind of like what you were saying with, why would you give someone that power to, like, make you feel
Mm-hmm.
like you can be happy only with what they give you? Yes, I completely 100% see that.
Mm-hmm.
But if I were to, I don't know, I guess where I'm sitting at right now with it is that I need to have just one more conversation with her about it before I want to leave it. I want to, like, bury it and have it never come up again and just be done.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to
like
continue.
closure?
Yeah. And I want to continue to volunteer there and not feel like there's
Tension.
an elephant in the room, or
Yeah.
that, like, because there was nothing, we've never spoken about it, and that's so
Mhm.
weird to me, and I hate it.
Yeah, that is
I
weird.
hate it.
That is weird.
And so, no, she doesn't control my happiness, but because of how I already get frustrated about the lack of communication there, don't necessarily feel appreciated by the people,
Mm-hmm.
and then this,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, if it goes on much longer, I might not want to spend my time there.
Yeah.
But it brings me good stuff also. So I'm just trying to keep myself in a place where I know that I like going.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. Am I giving her too much power? I have no idea. I don't.
I just see it as, like, that place, you give it a lot. You give a lot of your time, a lot of your effort, and it's evident how important you are there from my perspective. But it's just like you let so much go for so long, but it's like this instance is like, you said you needed closure. It's like, but why? Like, why do you need closure on this one? What, like, is that, like, was this event super important? Did you put a lot of, like, emotional investment in that horse, or, like, what was it about this event that made it be like, this is what's triggering you right now? Because it feels like the situation was horrible. I was with you through it, and I feel like it was devastating to you, and you put it on one person. You know, like, you've given that to
Oh
her.
yeah. Oh
You're
yeah.
just like, this is your fault. You know? And it's
Yeah.
and it's like,
No, it's multiple people. I think it's like the communication
yeah.
with the entire.
But like you said,
Place.
there's usually the problem is not the one problem, right?
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
obvious, like, you guys could hash this out in a conversation. I think
Dude.
it has to be the conversation.
Yeah.
Which is why I think confrontation is so important. But I think it's also, like, as you were talking this through, I could see the
Yeah.
wheels in your head spinning of, like, you know, what do I need? You know,
Yeah.
like, what is it that I'm asking for?
Yeah.
And I think we can all be handled in a quick combo.
It's weird. I don't know. I think, I don't know if it's specifically the conversation or if it's like the straw that broke the camel's back.
Maybe.
Whereas, like, it maybe doesn't matter what it was. Maybe it was just like, I was just fed up. And like, I think that this is, you know, when I talk about being frustrated from lack of communication, I'm like, oh, I feed horses, right? Like, it's not rocket science, but like, they change the feeding amounts and the types and the processes almost daily.
Yeah.
And sometimes it doesn't get written down clearly. And so there's mess ups. And that's the kind of, like, stupid little things. They're not important. But this one was a big deal.
This was a big deal, yeah.
It almost changed my life.
Mm-hmm.
So could be a little bit of both.
Yeah.
That it was just like I was like capped out on, like, frustration and then it happened, or because it was heavier. So either way.
Well, what I like about it is you gave her the option to not do it in person. You know, like, you wanted to lessen it. You know, but now that didn't work, you've, you know, collected yourself again, and you're like, okay, well, maybe another approach would be better. And I think that's good. No, this one's maybe in person. And I like that you're adaptable with it.
When I tried to let it go, and it's not working.
Yeah, no, I think a conversation needs to be had with somebody, whether that's her or somebody, you know.
Yeah. And you know, the thing is like, it's funny because it's totally an ego thing. Like, my main issue is that I was not important enough to her to be like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize that. I would have talked to you about it.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah.
Fucking say anything like that and I'll feel better. Stroke my ego a little bit. Like, tell me I matter. You know, like, it's so stupid. I'm very aware of it as it's happening, which is even more frustrating. But I don't know, man. I think that I don't know. We need to just, I just want to talk to her.
Yeah.
And I don't want to quit.
No, I think you're very reasonable. I think a conversation is not a lot to ask, so I think you're fine.
I also see like some flaws in the situation because I'm like, in my mind, I'm already setting it up for failure. Do you see it? In my mind, I am foreseeing that I will make this woman talk to me. And right now, in this situation, from this space, I'm saying, if we go the route of the conversation, no matter how the conversation ends, Anna's happy. If I go the other route and it's avoided and I don't end up having the conversation with her, I'm gonna get mad and quit. I'm like putting it in like this tiny little box because I'm a human and I'm, you know, doing what humans do. And there's so many variables, dude. What if she says something in the conversation and she's pissed? What if she's having a bad day and she like fucking lashes out at me? That doesn't lead to happy Anna. I don't know that it's gonna go my way. Like, I don't even know what my way looks like. So like, even though I'm being adaptable, am I? I have two situations in my head, in my reality. I either quit because we don't have this conversation and I'm gonna be like fucking snotty little brat. Because my ego is bruised, because I don't feel validated or appreciated by other people that don't even know me, really. Or I get this person to have a conversation with me, and I feel better, and I stay and help.
How can we make it, okay, well, how can we make it where you're happy either way? Legitimately, how can we set this up to where you're going to be happy regardless of which outcome it goes? If you don't talk to her, you can recognize your importance at this place and you can not need validation from somebody else. You don't need your ego stroked in some way. You can figure out a way that can make you feel appreciated or recognize that you are. Or you can, I don't know what the other instance was. I'm trying to make it better either. I want you happy regardless, and I can see how much value this adds to your life, and if it doesn't add value to your life anymore, great. That can easily be cut out. You know, you're not getting paid. This is nothing. You know, like you do this solely because you're awesome.
Because it makes me feel good to be there.
Yeah.
Except for lately.
But if you were to just give that, like you said, you've given that power to her. If you were just like, does she matter? Really? Like, legitimately, does she matter in your life?
No.
Then why?
I know.
I'm not trying to be aggressive right now, but I'm
That's
just like, I just want you to be happy.
This is why confrontation is so hard, because like, I don't know.
Is it needed there?
Genuinely? I want it there.
Wanted, yeah. Yeah.
Is it needed? No. Could I figure out a way to be happy, staying volunteering, and not need to have a conversation with her? Probably. Do I want that? No. Truthfully, no. Because in my mind, I think that, like, and here's the thing.
I love this.
I am also, because I'm not afraid of confrontation, and I'm not afraid to like go up and be like, hey, poke you a little bit, like, let's talk. And you're gonna be like, ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
That would be me.
She's calling me out. She's finally here. She's doing it. I bet she like literally never thinks of this. And she's like, oh, I totally forgot about that. I'm gonna be like, I think about it every day. Fuck you.
Okay, if she were to do that, if she were to be like, I'm sorry, it wasn't a big deal in my life, so I didn't think about it. How would that make you feel?
That's fine.
I
don't care.
You confuse me now.
I know.
You would rather her to just not give a fuck about the situation, but
I don't care I don't care what her reasoning or excuse or perspective is. I just want to be heard and seen honestly. I want her to not ignore it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if she cares. She could be like, listen, I don't have time to talk about this. I didn't email you back because I was busy.
Mm-hmm.
And it is what it is. I'd be like, cool. And I will be like, are we good then? Like, I asked you in the email, like, that I didn't want any bad blood here because I want it to not feel weird because I feel weird right now. Yeah. And then if she's like, okay, we're good, I'd feel fine.
Okay.
Is that ideal? No. I can tell you what ideal would be. It's totally different than that. I'm so sorry. That would have loved to live with you.
Yeah.
Blah, 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 all these things. No, I don't expect her. She was not happy about the situation.
Yeah.
Nobody was happy about the situation. It was like a fucked up scenario from the get. Like everybody involved was like, blah, you know. So I don't know. I'm gonna try and be a little bit more flexible with how I accept the conversation to end and to go. But yeah, it's kind of like when you have a relationship end, right? Like a lot of people want to like closure. You said closure. People want that final, I just want to say my piece.
A lot of times you don't get it.
You don't get it.
Yeah. And you're still okay.
And well, you have to figure out how to be okay.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people are okay because they don't learn how to give it to themselves. And they carry that forward and they give it to the next person as a fucking Merry Christmas present. Nobody wants that shit. So no matter what happens, I'm going to figure out how to like deal with it myself. Yeah. But I'm going to try to make amends and make it right via communication because I can.
Yeah.
Because I see her.
Yeah. And
I think I can have a conversation with her and have it go pleasant.
I think it's totally possible that the conversation can fix everything.
Yeah.
I also think it's totally possible that Dot wasn't right for you in this situation, you know?
Yeah.
I think it's totally possible that this happened exactly the way it was supposed to.
100%. I already know that.
I know. I'm just speaking it.
Doesn't make it easier.
I know.
I just did the breathing thing.
I can't even do it. We have discussed that I am a loud breather.
Dude, you breathe so loud.
I know.
You breathe like you weigh 400 pounds. That's why I'm like, damn, girl.
It's fine.
It's her Arkansas seeping out of her pores.
Well, I think this was a great conversation, and I think it's also really cool that I think you can take confrontation. Like, I just pushed you pretty hard, and you accepted it decent. I mean, it is hard, though. Like, it's hard to, like, I can see that you're emotional about this, and I can see that you don't actually, I don't think you actually know quite how you're feeling about this, you know? I can tell that you're emotional about it and you're invested in it, and I would just want, like I said, I want you to be happy in whatever situation, you know, whatever outcome this comes.
Yeah.
I want happy Anna, you know? Yeah. But it's very hard. It's hard.
I think it's hard to figure out when it's right, and honestly, like, I don't know if there's a black and white answer for that, but I think the thing is like,
communicate.
You fucking know if it's important to you or not.
Yeah.
And if it's not, like, and you know why I know how I feel about it? Because I've journaled about this. I have sat and thought about it. I've had discussions about it with multiple people from different people that know nothing about horses, people that know a lot about horses. I've just processed it, and it's like a month.
Oh yeah.
It's been like a month. So like I've been dealing with it and like thinking about it. So it's not like a rash emotional thing. And I just know that it doesn't sit well with me where it is. And so I think that, you know, obviously you don't need to like let something take a month to stew, you know, but taking that time to really think about something before you just, I don't like when you do this, you know?
Yeah.
It's terrible with relationships. I don't even know.
Oh yeah.
That's a whole nother podcast in itself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't know if we're the ones to talk about it.
No, I'm actively working on it because like I said, I over communicate. So I'm gonna tell you multiple ways, multiple times the way I think things should go, and you can be like, okay, or you can just continue to keep doing what you're doing. But I think as long as you're willing to be open and honest and communicate what you're feeling, and also be willing to accept that people may not agree. Yeah. That's it. I don't know.
Well, they talk about arguments being pointless because you're both arguing your side. But I view like a confrontation and a conversation about it as, I don't need you to agree with me. but I just want to, I'm going to say this and I want you to say yours. And if we look at each other pissed and then we walk and turn around and away, at least we know where we stand. But we're not hiding up some shield of, and you can understand where I'm coming from a little better, and same vice versa.
I think that is not the general consensus nowadays. I
No,
feel
probably
like especially, we've said it before, but like cutoff culture is really big.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know at what point we forgot tolerance and acceptance of differing opinions. But like, it's like, oh, if your opinions, there's a difference in disagreeing about something and having completely different morals and values. I will say that. Like, I'm not going to be your friend if you don't align with my morals, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that's completely fine. But we can have differing opinions and still be friends and still be completely cordial with each other, you know, like that kind of thing.
You and I have different opinions about so much stuff.
Oh yeah. I think we align really well, but
well, our
definitely
morals
don't.
are very similar,
Yes.
but our opinions on certain topics are very different.
Yeah.
On some things. And so, I don't also like the words. You've said it before. I've been called an over communicator. I don't like it. I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? Over communicator?
What I mean by that for myself solely is that I'm quick to say things, and then I realize later that I don't actually have a lot of emotion built up into that. It can bother me, like the way you said something, and I'll be like, hey, can you like say that a different way, or like can you do something a different way? And I realize later I'm like, what, like why did that matter to me in that instance? Because it doesn't matter to me now.
Right.
You know, why was it like I'm quick to bring it up because I want you to not do it again. But if you were to do it again in a week and I'm in a different mood, is it going to bother me the same? That's what I mean. Is
Okay.
I'm like quick to react, not like hot-headed or anything, because I don't pop off, but I'm quick to be like, hey, I didn't really like that. Did I really not like that, or was I just not liking it right then?
Yeah, more about you than them.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I mean by that. I don't mean that like
when I was
you can talk
called
too
an
much.
over communicator, it was like my expectations of like the situation was that I had a friend staying with me, and she was in the middle of living situations. So I was like, dude, crash in my spare room, no rent, like no timeline. Like I knew she was planning on being quick, but like that was before Summer was living with me. So like I don't lock my guns normally. Like well, I still don't, but anyway, like I have a dog and I have stuff, and this is the coworkers. I didn't know her very well, and she I got like mad because she just like invited her boyfriend at the time over, and I was like, are you gonna tell me like you have a strange man coming into my house? Like that's something that you would to me I would never do that. So it's like I have this problem of like I communicate a lot because I don't know where everyone stands, and if you tell me once, oh, I don't care about that, then I won't. But I'm gonna do extra until you tell me where your levels of comfortability are. That's kind of how I am. And she was the exact opposite. She's like, oh, well, I just didn't think it mattered. And I'm like, why would you not check? But we're totally different types of communication style. But she was like, you're just an over communicator in a sense where like I wanted people to tell me more details about what was going on when it was around me. I don't give a fuck what you do on your own time. But if you're in my space, I want to know what's happening. I want to know what time you're coming. I want to know when you're leaving. I want to know how like what's gonna look like. Like, and she did not like that, and that's probably why she left so quick. But that's fine.
I think that's just you're quick to set boundaries.
Yeah,
and a lot of people aren't comfortable with boundaries. We've talked about that. Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, communication. Oh, so this is a communication / confrontation podcast.
I don't know. I liked it. I think it's just a good conversation about a conversation.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys as always for listening and investing in yourself today. We believe in you and can't wait to see you win.
Of course, check us out on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify every Monday morning at 6 a.m. so you can start your week with your foot on the gas. Now go get to work.